Hey guys, today we're going to talk about how to find affordable housing as a travel therapist. I'm personally a travel physical therapist. I've moved a bunch of times as a traveler. I pack light and I feel like I really knocked down the system of how to do this well. And throughout my experiences, I've lived in nice, affordable places in San Francisco with views. For example, one day I rented out, it was a nice private unit in San Francisco. There was views, it was safe, and I spent 1,500 with utilities. And that was amazing at the time. And then also, I had a terrible experience where I lived with a hoarder actually in San Francisco paying 900 a month, and that wasn't as good. And a little bit about me. My name's Dr. Jonas DeCasta. I'm a travel physical therapist, and I've been a PT for a long time. I've been a traveler for over 5 years. And I also have a platform called Rate My Therapy Company to improve transparency of jobs. There's a link below. Make sure you join that Facebook group, post in there before you accept another job. I also refer travelers to the best recruiters that pay well. So if you need a new recruiter to pay well, you can also comment down below or sign up in the link. I also do free consultations as of this moment. That won't be forever, but I'm doing it for now because I do have a little more time. And when travelers find housing, the common fears that they have are getting scammed by a landlord, not liking the place, not having safety, and just not having good roommates. So we're going to address all these common fears and show you guys how to find good housing quickly and save money because we want to save money and maximize our income as travelers. And one of the main questions that we do get as a traveler is, do we get housing for free from our travel agency? And when we get paid as a traveler, there is a bill rate, and everything that you get paid in, your tax-free stipends, your hourly pay, it all comes from the same bucket of your bill rate. And we can get, there are two options for finding housing. You can either get your tax-free stipend for your meals and housing, and then you find your own housing, or the company can find you housing as well, and then they'll take your full stipend for housing. And most travelers don't do this. I would say I have never done that. I always find my own housing and I keep the stipend as much as possible so I can save as much as possible. And I just find cheaper housing. But in the rare cases, some travelers do want the company to find the housing. I'd say these travelers, maybe they don't care about the money. Maybe they don't want to go through the hassle of finding a place, or maybe they're just independently wealthy and they're just traveling for the experience, just for fun. But I have never done that. I always find good, affordable deals. It takes a little bit of work, but honestly, it gets easier with time. And these are all the places where I find housing. Some options are Craigslist, which that sounds sketchy, but I'm telling you, I found an amazing deal in San Francisco through Craigslist, and it was a steal. It was a gem because sometimes I find gems on Craigslist. Also, Furnish Finder, which is a website for midterm rental stays, 30 days plus. Also, Airbnb. Another good way is word of mouth. You can also ask your employer for tips on finding housing as well, before you work there. Also, Facebook Marketplace, travel Facebook groups, travel nurse Facebook groups for housing as well. You can ask your family, friends on Facebook. A lot of networking. I remember I was living in the US Virgin Islands. I found a great studio for $900. And that was because I asked my employer, and then she posted on her Facebook, and they found me that deal. And it was an amazing location. Yes, you can take a travel therapy contract in the US Virgin Islands. I worked a physical therapy contract there, and it was amazing. Had a great place. It was a private studio. And next, we're going to talk about how to find housing, or better ways to find housing. So the ways that I find housing, at least on Craigslist or on Facebook groups, is one way is you can just look up those posts and comment on them or reach out to a landlord. Another way is to you make a personal ad for yourself. For example, on Craigslist, you can say, "Hi, my name's Jonas. I'm a doctor of physical therapy. I'm 30 years old." Post a nice picture of you in your medical scrubs or in like nice attire. And then this way, most people will reach out to you and you can save time and have better luck. I found my night base in San Francisco because I did this. I posted an ad for myself on Craigslist, and then the landlord reached out to me. There was a lot of people reaching out to me, but I filtered out the ones that were real and the ones that were scams. But you can find deals that way. And it's you can find deals that way. And it's always, if you don't want to book a place before you travel somewhere, you can always book an Airbnb, book a hotel for 1 or 2 weeks to kind of get used to the area. And then you can find more longer term housing, whether it's 1 to 3 months or longer. Because sometimes it is kind of crazy to just book a place and travel across the country and live there, because that's kind of scary. I remember my first time traveling across the country. I was ending my travel contract near Chicago, as I'm from Chicago as well, but it was about 2 hours from Chicago. And then my second travel contract, it was in the Bay Area of California. So that's literally from the Midwest to the West Coast. I love the West Coast. I honestly think West Coast, best coast. That's a real thing. But I honestly drove the distance. It was, I forgot the exact distance, but it was, yeah, it was, I did it over 7 days and it was a long time. But I honestly made it a road trip and it was extremely fun. And then I moved into my place and it turned out well. And I don't think I got lucky because I did a lot of work and a lot of research, but that was a great time. And we're going to talk about that later, about that experience. And also when you're booking a place, you always, when thinking about your leases, you always want to try to push for a month to month lease. You don't ever want to do a full 1 year lease, 6 month lease. 3 month lease are fine most of the time, because sometimes contracts do get canceled. It's rare, thankfully. My contract has never been canceled, but I know travelers where their contract does get canceled sometimes. So you don't want to be stuck with a lease where you have to find someone to replace it, or you have to pay money if your contract gets canceled. So in most cases, I do a month to month lease where the landlord's flexible if something changes, and I'm always transparent and upfront that sometimes a travel contract can end as well. And next, we're going to talk about renter's insurance. So I have gotten renter's insurance before. It's basically insurance to protect you, and it protects your personal property, personal liability, medical payments, and additional living expenses or losses. And it depends on the limits of your policy. So for example, if let's say if there's a storm or someone breaks in your home, maybe if you get hurt in the home or things get lost, or maybe you have to move to a hotel because there's an issue at your house. Renter's insurance typically covers, it might be your hotel stay, it might be to replace something that was taken. It's whatever is in your coverage plan. And it's very affordable. It's about $10 to $20 per month. Most of the time it's like $15 a month. You probably won't use it, but it's one of those things where it's good to have just in case. And some travelers are more likely to have lower cost housing. Like for example, me, I'm a single guy. I'm 31 now, and I don't have any pets, and I'm very low maintenance, very flexible. And most of the time, I do rent private rooms over private units. And this is how you really maximize your travel therapy income and you save on your housing, because I don't want the majority of my paycheck going to housing. But there were a few contracts where I spent a little bit more on housing and I had a private unit just for the experience. But most of the time, I do rent rooms to just keep my costs low, because my goal is to really save as much as possible so I can invest that money, whether it's in real estate or business or stocks as well. But it really depends on the goal and what they value. I don't really care too much where I live, so that's why. But some people do care a lot. Some people want an ocean view, a mountain view, so they pay a little bit more, and that's okay. It really depends on what you want. Don't let anyone tell you else. And while I was a traveler, I did live in high paying areas. So for example, I lived in San Francisco, I lived in Oakland, and typically jobs there do pay more, but I still was living fairly cheaply. I lived in the Bay Area. I paid about, from all my Bay Area contracts, 'cause I lived in the North Bay, East Bay, South Bay, Pacifica, San Francisco. I paid between $800 and $1,500 per month in the Bay Area. And I was getting like pretty good paying contracts, like at least 2,400 after tax, some as high as 3K after tax per week. And that's a good thing that you can look at. And also another thing, you really want to pack light. Literally, my motto is the less you bring, the less stress you bring. So don't bring furniture. Literally, don't bring a big couch. Just pack light, and always rent furnished places. It's so much easier, and you don't want to move a lot of big stuff. Like my biggest thing is probably my air fryer or my Instant Pot, and I just bring like a suitcase or two, and it's so much easier. I can literally go and move all my stuff in my car if I had to, probably in like 40 minutes. But that's not for everybody, but it's a lot easier to pack light. And one other tip I give is if you haven't used an item that you have maybe in your closet for the last month, then you probably don't need it on your travel assignment. And I literally try to pack less and less. It's like a life of minimalism. And honestly, I feel better and I carry less things and it makes me less attached to materialistic things. And that works for me, doesn't work for everybody, but that has honestly made it so much easier to travel from one place to the next. And one of the biggest fears next that we're going to talk about is preventing scams. I know one traveler that's been scammed before, and they've been scammed out of money from a landlord. But the two biggest ways to prevent scams, so you're not wasting money or in a bad situation, is before you move somewhere, you want to video chat your landlord, either FaceTime or video chat, because this will make it easier to kind of get the vibe of them. You can even do like a video tour to make sure that the pictures online are accurate with it as well. Because you'd be surprised. But what I've noticed, especially on Craigslist, if you ask someone to video chat them, if they're a scam, they're not going to do that. And I feel like on Craigslist, if you're looking for housing there, 90% of the time, a scammer will not video chat you because they're not real. And also another tip is you never want to send money or like a deposit before you arrive at your place. It's just simple stuff. If you don't arrive, don't send money. Don't send money across the country before you go somewhere for a place that you've never been to. And that is pretty much it for housing. If you guys have any questions about housing, if you like this video, make sure to comment, like. You can subscribe and share this video with other travelers, and watch our most recent video on Travel Therapy 1-on-1 on how to get started. Thanks, guys, and have a great day. Happy house hunting.